coming at me, yo. It was coming at me, yo.
They attacked the shit out of him.
The guy was coming at me crazy.
What?
Wait, take a picture right now.
Mattie.
Maybach music.
Can anybody out there hear me? Hear me? 'Cause I just wanna...
On this team, we fight for that itch. On this team, we tear ourselves and everyone else around us to pieces for that itch.
Coming in at 320 kilobytes per second, it's time for Mattie C's Sports for you and me.
What the fuck is up? They ain't touching me for nothing. Gang shit is not my business. I ain't not the one to fuck with.
All right, everybody, Mattie C Sports for you and me. I got a special guest, kind of an OG of the show, JoJo Skeletor Giannetti. How you doing today, bro?
I'm doing good, Just hanging out. Gonna go train in a little bit. How you doing?
All right, man. So shit. If anybody was at Cage Titan 60 the other day, man, what a friggin' good intro for the next card, man. So you're fighting it's Montreal versus Boston pretty much, right?
Yes, sir. Just the way I like it.
Yeah, I think this is going to be really exciting, not only for Cage Titans, but like an international fight.
Yeah, for sure. And I really think that it's the last thing, on my checklist that I need to do to show the UFC, like, hey, I'm the guy, not like I should be there, like I am the guy.
Yeah, man. So you're fighting Michael Dufort, who I found funny on his Instagram. He says he's 10-0, only counts the finishes. Now, bro, mind you, you're 11-4. So I just find that comical.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. It's just I think he battles his own ego, and he doesn't win. I think his ego is a big part in who he is as a fighter. Whereas myself, I'm very far the opposite.
Yeah, I mean, when Montreal fans used to come to Boston, they'd do the same thing. So
yeah, exactly.
But I did some stats, but I'm sorry. The only thing I know from where he's from is St. John, French, rest of the town or city he's from. So, yep. I mean, not much that I know, but I mean, he's got a good typology deal with #1 in Quebec and number 10 in US. So is this going to be the probably most exciting challenge, or is this just another day in the office?
It's the most exciting. This is one that, I'm excited to get out of bed and train for. He's ranked higher than me in the US, which I think is crazy. But, that's my challenge. So, it's as much as it is a title shot for him, he's coming for my belt. I'm coming for his national ranking. So, we each got something the other person wants, and I plan on taking it.
What's awesome about that is JoJo Giannetti is going to be ranked high in Quebec too. So you're going to be internationally known up there. So it's not he's coming for you. You're going for him. You're trying to take Canada over too.
Exactly. And that's, I think, a big thing with my mindset for this camp is like, it's not just the title defense. Like, I'm very much the challenger as much as I am the champ. Like, there's things that I got to take from him, and I plan on taking from him. So I think that it's going to be a super high level fight, super exciting. And, I've said it a couple times already, I'm pulling out all the stops, every weapon in my arsenal is going to be used this fight.
I can tell, because like just the way you show your training regimen. So it's not going to be F that bike. You're going to go on that bike and F him, right?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I know that as much as that bike sucks, it's going to pay off come September 23rd when I get to punch him in the face.
The stamina and conditioning is sure going to be on point.
Everything. Strength, stamina, conditioning. The weight cut's going to go beautifully. I'm excited for it. Like I said, this fight makes it easy to get up in the morning and get to training.
If you only knew that you could have wore that Bruins jersey that night when He pulled that Nick Suzuki jersey. I was like, oh man, he was ballsy going into
Yeah,
Memorial Hall.
yeah, he had some stones pulling that one, but we'll see come fight night. I'll be wearing my Bruins jersey, and that's the only jersey getting their hand raised that night.
Oh, it's hilarious. Well, Pico's row was
They were
very
rowdy.
vocal.
Yeah, very rowdy.
I think I've never seen them as rowdy as that single moment when you were out there.
Yeah, no, that's my crew. Those are my boys. And then you throw the Bruins on top of it, it's a wrap.
I know. And the funny thing is that I was in the back, but like I didn't hear the boos as much. And the things you said were great. Like you can just get out of here. But I was like, bro, like I couldn't understand it either. Couldn't clearly hear anything he was saying, like understand what he was saying?
The only thing that I understood out of that whole thing was I'm coming for you, which I always think is a weird line when people say that when you're standing 4 feet in front of me, because I'm right here. You don't have to go anywhere. I'm right here. So, he had this whole big tangent, and then I'm coming for you, and then something else. And then they were like, what do you think about that? And I was like, I don't know what the hell you said, but you're not taking my belt.
That was great, man. And he tried to face off, getting all in your face. You're just like, nah.
It's just,
nah.
I grew up fighting. I got picked on as a kid. I fought kids bigger than me. He's a little bit smaller than me, but nobody's getting in my face. Nobody's intimidating me. As much as, you kind of got to respect and fear your opponents a little bit to drive you. Like I'll fight anybody on this planet. I'll fear any man. I hate the people that say I fear no man. I fear plenty of guys that I fight, but I'll still get in there and whoop your ass.
Absolutely. I've seen it numerous times from when I first saw you on the Cage 50 card, right? That was the first time I saw you fight. Or was it 51?
51.
Yeah, man. It's been a long while seeing you fight. So I'm interested what this guy has in his arsenal.
Me too. I'm excited. I know, he's beaten some good guys. He's lost to some not so good guys, but so have I. So it's really exciting. I just think that, this camp goes the way I plan on it going, and I'm just going to show the difference between us.
Yeah, and are you going back to AK?
Yes, I am. I'm getting sponsors together right now. My plan is to leave for AKA the second week of August.
Awesome, man. And with the, I wouldn't say layoff, but like you haven't fought since Alameda in January. Is it frustrating with like the void when you were supposed to fight Luigi?
Yeah, like the hardest part about that was I did, like, anybody that fights, especially professionally, like you get it. Like the fight, if you're training hard enough, the fight is the easy part, win or lose. Like the fight is the easy part. The training and the weight cut and all that, that's the hard part. And I did all that. I did the dieting, I did the weight cut, I did the sparring, the cardio, the rest, every bit. I was dialed in for that fight, and my body just couldn't keep up come the end of the weight cut, and it fell through. And that was honestly what I was more devastated about, was all the sacrifice and hard work I put into that camp, and literally got nothing out of it. And there was people trying to drag my name through the mud, like, see, he can't make weight. Meanwhile, I'm in the friggin' ER. I was like, I got an IV sticking out of my arm. I was like, it's not me, trust me. Because when they told me, hey, you can't cut any more weight, I was like, no, I'm like a pound off. I'm going to go cut the weight. And then I started throwing up blood. And when I got to the hospital, they were like, yeah, if you kept cutting the weight and somehow didn't die, there'd be no way that you could ever fight at 55. Maybe you could fight at 70, but your body would have irreversible damage. And so it's like, I did everything in my power to make that happen, made all the sacrifices, got nothing for it. Then I had to take the time off to heal and recover and get healthy again. And then when I did, nobody would fight me. So it was just like super frustrating. But, I took the time and worked on plenty of other things, physically, mentally, technically. So a lot of improvements have been made, and I'm looking forward to showing them off.
And I'm witness to that, because I saw you after you weighed in and you were a pound off and you were coming. I said, hey, how's it going? And you're like, oh, I gotta go. And I could tell you were wicked sick, because you walked by me with your girl, and I was like, oh, something's wrong with him. Something's going on. And then an hour I found out you were sick. And then the evidence was clear, because then you were like, I texted you or something like that, and you were like, I can't even hold down bread.
Dude, it was crazy, and it was so funny because, like, I've cut weight so many times, I'm not gonna feel good, like 100%, like on a normal day. I'm cutting weight. So, I didn't feel great, but everybody was like, "Are you all right? Are you all right? And you don't look good. You look like shit." And I'm like, "Thanks, guys. Like, that's real motivating." And then I was like, "Yeah, I just gotta go finish the rest of this weight cut." Like, mentally, like, I was like, "Let's do it." And like I said, I posted a video after everything happened. The night before, there was a couple complications with the weight cut, but I like mentally was there. Like, my coach was like, "Are you good? And you sure?" And I was like, "Oh, no, I'm good." I'm like, "Let's go back in the sauna." And then, afterwards, my coach was like, "Hey, honestly, like, I probably should have pulled you from the fight last night." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And like, I was coughing after one of my sessions in the sauna, and I ended up like kind of like I was a little phlegmy, ended up kind of throwing up a little bit of blood. And I just thought it was like coming out the sauna like a dry, scratchy throat. But like in hindsight, there were signs that I ignored. So it's like I thought mentally I was there. I was like, we can push through, we can get it done. And then in hindsight, everybody's like, "No, you look like shit. Like, I've seen you cut weight, but that was just like extra. You look terrible." And I was like, "Oh, well, at least it wasn't just me." Mentally, I was trying to get it done, but apparently I looked horrible.
You did. You said, "I'll be right back." And then, because I said, "Are you okay?" I didn't say you looked like shit. I did not say that. I
My
definitely know
friends
I
did.
didn't say that.
Don't worry, my friends did.
I'm sure it was Mikey, probably.
Yep. But yeah, no,
But
that's like that's the worst part is being there mentally. You know what I mean? Everybody's telling you like you can't do it, you're not okay, but like mentally, I was locked in. I was like, "No, I'm fighting this dude. I'm making weight. Like, we got this in the bag." And then my body was like, We don't got it in the bag. Something's wrong."
And now looking back, it's like, wow, you got a lot of training. You're really focused on this Canadian guy, and you know, uh, I found it interesting that like this fight like was a good surprise for everybody, especially me. I was like, oh, we're going international on this shit. Like we got Gene. I was like, Giannetti's gonna now have a huge test, and like, that's coming from a standpoint from me. I mean, people have different opinions, but I was like, damn, like this kid is ranked pretty high in Canada. I have not seen him fight. I've heard of a couple names, but I feel like he's coming to Boston. He's gonna take the train right back to Montreal.
Oh, for sure. And that's the biggest thing why I wanted this fight, especially September 23rd will be almost exactly 8 months since I last fought. And it's just one of those things where it's like, what better way to come back than with a bang? I'm having such a hard time getting these local guys to fight me that if I come back and fight some guy that I've already beaten or fight a guy with a not so great record or whatever, it doesn't have that same feel. I am on a 5-fight win streak, but an 8-month delay between fights, it's like, you kind of got to make a splash on the return. So, I was looking for the biggest, hardest fight I could get, biggest challenge. And like I said, it's just easy to get up and get in the gym in the morning. I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, man. I was ecstatic for you when I saw it out there, because I go, oh my God, this guy's got a Montreal Canadiens jersey. Like, is he all right? Like, what's this dude's deal? And then I looked at his shit on Instagram, and I was like, okay, so he flipped off Fenway Park. That's nice.
Yeah.
Oh, he hates Boston. Okay. And then I'm like, well, let me think about it. Like, didn't the Montreal Expos fold?
And here's my thing. It's like, it's funny. I think it's a treat for the fans of Cage Titans. Like, UFC Boston is August 19th. There are 0 guys from Boston on UFC Boston, which is crazy. But now we've got Montreal versus Boston at Plymouth Memorial Hall. So we've got the real UFC Boston going down in Plymouth, affordable tickets. We're going to sell the house out. I was born in the city of Boston. Like, I grew up watching the Sox lose World Series until they finally got it done in 2004. Like, we actually get Montreal versus Boston right here in Plymouth Memorial Hall.
I just think it's such a good hype. That's why when I heard about it, I'm like, oh, I can definitely make something cool out of a banner for you. I was like, he doesn't even deserve to have his Montreal colors. I'll put the logo, but he's gonna be black.
Yeah, that's all you get.
That's all you get, bro. Like, and he's definitely gonna see this, and I'll probably tag him too, just to make him feel better.
Yeah, no, we're gonna have the hall rock in black and gold. It's gonna be a good ass night.
Now, this may be too early, JoJo, but Is it you're gonna wear something black and gold on your trunks, bro?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Got to represent.
That's gonna be dope. And I'm sure you already have ideas for shirts, of course.
Oh yeah, shirt reveal will probably be tomorrow or the next day. You know, I was gonna keep the same shirts that I designed a couple months back for when I was supposed to fight last weekend. And I still like those shirts, and I'll keep them up online if everybody wants them. But I got a new shirt design. It's gonna be dope, and I'm hoping that we flood the hall with them.
We got to get Bergeron back in the hall, bro.
I know, I know. Don't worry, I'm putting in some work to try and get some bees there.
Or even better, you got to get McQuaid in there.
Mm-hmm.
Some sort of enforcer. We'll get in there.
Yeah, exactly.
I heard Jaylen Brown was in the building the other day.
He was sitting up on stage.
Damn, bro. I'm excited for this fight, man. So, like, do you think? For me, as an opinion, I think this fight, when you win, you know, I think that takes you to get the ticket to the UFC. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, I mean,
do you agree with that?
I think it should be, you know. Obviously I'm biased. I thought so a few fights ago, but I'm just here. I'm here doing whatever, you know, people think or UFC thinks I have to do. But I'm not looking too far ahead, you know. Right now the goal is I gotta beat Dufort, and that's really the only thing on my mind. But if for whatever reason I win, even in dominant, exciting fashion, and you know, don't get a call or they say, hey, do this instead, or do this, this, and this, you know, I'll keep doing it. But it's tough, you know, as far as locally, like, you know, I spend so much money on these fight camps. If I break even on fight camp to like ticket sales and purse, then that's a win for me. Normally I end up losing money after fight camps. So, you know, spending all this money on fight camps, cutting all this weight at 155. Now we're getting to a point where 55ers in the country aren't wanting to fight me at Cage Titans. You know, I do have 2 belts. I have another belt at 170. I'm not here to hold that division up. So, you know, we'll take care of Dufort in September. And then, you know, it'll be winter time. We'll bulk up a little bit, and then we'll start taking care of welterweights until the UFC calls.
Dude, you're the craziest motherfucker going, dude. You drove that car all the way to Cali and drove back. I was like, dude, that's some fucking dedication right there.
Yeah, I was living in my car for 5 weeks last summer.
And then you sold the car, right?
Mm-hmm.
For another camp.
Yep. So my actually the Luigi camp, the camp where the fight didn't end up happening, I ended up selling my car to get the money to make that camp happen. But yeah, no, I've been putting a lot into this, and even Javier over at AKA, like when I was living in my car, he was like you're really just living in the back of that car, huh? And I was like, yep. And I opened the trunk and I showed him the whole tour. I was like, I got my laptop right there. Dog sleeps over here. I sleep here. Here's my AC, my little mini fridge. And he was like, we've had a lot of fighters come out here. I've never had somebody sleep in their car in my parking lot. I was like, you've never had somebody drive a bus out here either, but I did that too.
I do remember that story, man. That's funny. So, man, like, what do you expect from this dude? Have you seen any video of him at all?
I've seen some clips before. I knew the name before it got put in front of me as a potential opponent. You know, I think he's gonna be tough. You know, I think he's gonna be a really high level athlete. But I just feel like all the intangibles that I bring as a fighter are gonna be too much for him. You know, mentally and physically. I just feel like there's things that I have that a lot of guys. You can be a high level athlete and be a decent fighter, but that doesn't make you a high level fighter. There's so many other things that carry into it. And I think that he's gonna learn that come fight night. And I'm like I said, but it excites me. You know, I feel like this is a fight where I got to pull out all the stops. It gets me out of bed in the morning. It's going to make me use all my tools. It's going to make me be on point and bring out the best version of me. And those are the fights that I want. And that's like, you know, that's the catch-22 of being in my spot is I don't have a manager. So it's like, if they send me some undefeated guy from another country, it's like, I'll fight that dude. And people are like, why would you fight that guy for local money? And I'm like, it'd be a good fight. And it's like, so, you know, I manage myself, so I have to play that. I gotta do what I need to do and what I want to do and have that fight, you know. And this is like smack dab in the middle. It's like I get paid the right amount of money for this opponent. He's a high level guy. It brings out the best in me. And as a competitor, that's what I want. I want these high level fights. So, you know, come UFC time, I'll fight anybody. You know, you give me enough money, I'll fight anybody on the friggin' planet. Because those high level fights are what excites me. And every fight where people are like, wow, you looked amazing, it's fights where either I'm the underdog or people don't think I stand a chance, or it's just a super high level opponent. You know, I rise to the occasion whenever I can, and that's what I plan on doing in the future.
Oh, that's the best, man, being the underdog. I mean,
I live off that.
I know, and it's funny because people told me like the Giannetti of the past to now is like a whole nother level. Not that you had any issues; it's just like you've matured as as pretty much an elite level MMA fighter, and you know you and a lot of other fighters. Well, I shouldn't say a lot. A few fighters are cage titans, like legit. Like everybody knows who you are. Everybody knows what your stats are and who you fought. They probably know your social security number by the end of the month.
Yeah, no, man, it's, you know, it's been a ride at Cage Titans. You know, I think I had one of the fastest and most direct climbs from, you know, 0-0 amateur to 7-0 amateur champ to 6-0 pro to Ultimate Fighter finalist. And then it just seemed like that super fast rise. It was like a roller coaster, came crashing straight down to the lowest of lows. And I was back at Cage Titans, and everybody saw that. And just when you know, COVID hit, and I was fighting the LFA and lost those 2 fights. And, you know, and not to anybody's fault, but people were like, oh, it's a wrap. Like, he hit his peak. It is what it is. And like, that's not me. Like, I'm not a quitter. That was just the beginning. You know, I took that year off of competing, focused on my mental state. I focused on my physical strength, plenty of technical flaws. And, you know, I'm just focused on getting better at all times and being conscious of it. You know, I'm not just going to training and going through the motions. I'm focused on getting better. And I think Cage Titans, you know, seeing this rise and fall and rise again, they can relate to that. You know, that happens in people's lives all the time. Shit's going great, and then it's just not. But you got to keep going.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And you're fucking going, that's for sure.
We just keep on moving, man.
So for this fight, I mean, you're going to AK and you're doing a little local stuff like BTT and all that.
Yes, sir.
And they seem like a great team helping you out as well. And
the best grapplers on the East Coast. It's, you know, we have so many fighters that come in for no-gi on Monday and Wednesdays, and some pop in on Saturdays. And it's just funny because it's like, I've tried to explain this to people. There's a difference between jiu-jitsu and MMA jiu-jitsu. You know, my MMA jiu-jitsu is really freaking good. I'm biased, but I think it's really freaking good. My straight jiu-jitsu, I think, is decent, and I still do good with a lot of like really good jiu-jitsu players. And I go to BTT and just started getting throttled, and I was like, oh, I need to spend more time in this room. And that's a big part of like why I felt more confident in the cage, is because I know that at least locally there is nobody that's grappling as good as any of my teammates.
I definitely seen some of your teammates in there that are just unreal, and you know, everybody does the Naga and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the people that don't know, like, these are world competitors, and they go around the world, and that's like a scene that a lot of people don't see. And just like you said, nobody sees the weight cut, nobody sees the gyms you have to go to, the hours you have to spend, the gas you have to go to California.
Yeah, it adds up, bro. And it's like, and it's not even just me anymore. Like now, even the kids we have at BTT, we just had a bunch of them go to Pans, and I'm pretty sure like 90% of them placed. They all did great, and these are just kids, like half of them under the age of 10. You know, so imagine them in 10 years when they're 17, 18 years old. They're gonna be world-class champions.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. And you still ranked high in the video game stance, right? I always got to ask you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. A lot of Call of Duty lately. A lot of Call of Duty.
It's so funny. Like when I've seen you page, you're like, you got a schedule like 3:30. I have it today, and then like 9:30. I have one today. Like,
and even that
has a regimen for everything.
Everything. That's the only way I can do it. Especially too, because I'm like, especially for streams, it's kind of just like a general time. I'm late to a lot of shit. Like training is the only thing that I'm like, I gotta be there this time, and I make it happen. But if I don't give it time, then I'll just randomly boot up my computer and stream and play whenever. But if I give myself a time, I can tell people like, hey, around this time, I'll be live.
Oh man. So my final thing to you, JoJo, is
My cats, don't mind them.
Oh, I can't see them.
No, they're over here fighting.
But yeah, so I mean, obviously the next goal is UFC, because that's all you want, and I've heard it from you numerous times. And is there any other like Bellator or any of them, or is it just like fuck no, it's just UFC?
It's just you. I've been saying it since I got cut from the UFC. It's UFC or bust. It's the reason that I got into the sport. I was a UFC fan first. I became an MMA fan. Then I became an MMA fighter with the UFC as the goal. And I actually had this conversation with Andrew Valdina at Second Win before the fights. He was asking me the same thing. And it's not in like a stuck up like the UFC is the best. Like that's just what got me into the sport. That's what I set my mind on when I got into being a fan and a fighter. And having so many years ahead of me in the sport to just get cut from the UFC and go, oh well, I tried, and then just go to like the next best thing, or whatever is readily available. It just feels like, why did you, like, say I signed to Bellator, why'd you go to Bellator? Well, I couldn't cut it in the UFC, or it got hard, so I gave up on my dream and went to Bellator. Not a knock on Bellator, but my dream is the UFC. So if I just give up on it because it got hard and go somewhere else, like where do I stand as a man?
Right. Well, UFC or bust. That's all I know for JoJo Giannetti.
Yes, sir.
Oh, and how do you make these dope hype videos, man? Those things are on point.
I'll be on TikTok all day, bro. I self-taught.
Oh, that's good stuff. So, man, it's always an honor having you on the show. Want you to take care of this Montreal kid for sure.
Yes, sir.
Actually, he's 38 minutes driving from Montreal, so he's not from Montreal.
Oh, okay.
I had to check.
Yeah.
So for now, your current sponsors, do you want to shout them out?
Yeah, all of them. 2 Fight Bros. They've been super, super helpful at my last few camps. Always coming in, always hitting me up. What do you need, guys? Give them a follow on Instagram and Twitter. 2 Fight Bros. We got Verita Builders, best construction company in the game. Pear Tree Property Services. You already know I'm gonna plug Uncle Charlie's. That's my boy. Just had breakfast there this morning. It's the best place around.
Delicious.
It's so good.
So delicious.
We got Caged in. He's always got my back. But yeah, everybody that sponsors me, anybody that buys a T-shirt or a ticket, every little bit helps, and I do appreciate the hell out of all of it.
For sure. And how can everybody follow you if they don't know? It's foolish if they don't know.
If you don't know, you're about to know. At Giannetti MMA, 2 N's and 2 T's on every social media platform.
Excellent. Well, JoJo, thank you again for being on the show, and yeah, we'll see you for the next one.
Yes, sir. I'm excited. Thanks for having me.
Anytime.
Talk to you later, bro.
Thanks for watching Mattie C's Sports for You and Me. Make sure to follow Mattie C on Matt Cameron 23 on Twitter, Mattie C 23 on Instagram, and subscribe to Mattie C's Sports for You and Me on YouTube.
What the fuck is up? They ain't touching me for nothing. Gang shit is not my business. I ain't not the one to fuck with. I bring the flow with lyrical stamina, rapping a million miles. One point I'm an animal, then I'm a cannibal, taking my pick and I pounce. Bold and serious, cold amphibious track murderer. A cup I need by no one, so I got my back further, brother. Heat is up, extinguisher. I got the track burning up. Don't think to touch 6 feet's enough to get the match to combust. Diamond, strike it, ignite on any given surface solid. Callous symbols that come from